satisfied the president and say enough is enough.
All right. Thank you, Yusuf, for your thoughts this morning and for watching the show. Pascal, we have him as well online. Pascal?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Thank you for watching. Go ahead.
Yeah, now actually, I just wish to comment on the land sagas in Kenya. Actually, this has been a trend whereby individuals have even lost their land to powerful people. We have a case here in Vuki whereby a primary school, Mokingali Primary School, lost its land to a private developer. Now, if Langata Primary is getting back its land, is Mokingali Primary going to get back its land? And there are more cases of the same kind. I don't know what is the government going to do about it.
All right, Pascal,
Yes.
Asante Sana. We also have Anthony on the line. Anthony.
Yes, good morning, Sophia.
Good morning. What are your thoughts on media's coverage? I don't know which story you want to comment on, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment on the Langata incident.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, whatever we saw covered by the media should be condemned by everybody and should not be tolerated in a civil society like ours.
The media should be condemned, you say?
The acts
Oh,
the police
okay.
did at Langata. But what surprised me most is the bias and objectivity of the media towards that. I think we were just shown parts of what we were supposed to see, vis-a-vis being shown the objective part of it.
Okay.
The coverage was just inclining on what the police did, not what the activists did, not what the adults, the principal and the teacher and the people who let the students go outside the gate, whereas we parents expect the children to be inside the school compound. I think the wall maybe fell on a student or a pupil. I think the police could have still been blamed for not having returned the kids to school. I think maybe the next time police go for riot, in my subjective take, I think they should just carry biscuits and sweets, and then give tear gas to 18 years old and sweets to the kids. Maybe that way, there'll be more of a perception that police are responsible for their acts.
All right, Anthony, thank you so much for your thoughts and views this morning. Gentlemen, I'll come back to you. Let's first finish on the question we were talking about earlier before we go to the thoughts by our viewers this morning. I'll come to you, Mheshimiwa, on the bloggers and this space that now is getting bigger and bigger, and it's a double-edged sword, many have argued, social media. But the fact that a lot that now happens there finds its way on mainstream media as well.
You know, like there's one case that has not come out in the open. There's a lady in Embu, she's called Nancy Bidali. I think she was a lady in court last Monday. She exposed something in the governor's office. She's a school child. Well, the matter is in court. Let us not go into that. But what I'm saying and what my thoughts are, even the bloggers, you know, your freedoms are not absolutes. You need to respect the other person's freedoms. Like they say, you can swing your arm to the farthest end, but when it gets to me, let it stop here. Because you can swing it, then you'll hit me. It was your freedom, you are free to swing it. But when it hits me, then I'll charge you, I'll sue you for assault. So the bloggers, if you have information and you think it is valid information, let us have it. But if you're just speculating or you're just there to insult someone or to make them feel bad or just to pour dirt on them, and you do not have the facts, take time to think what you're doing. You're spoiling somebody's career. But if you have full facts, there's no problem in having it, bringing it forward.
I've got a bit of a problem with that prescription. Because if we say that the public can only speak about what it has facts about, then there's very little they're going to be able to talk about. You know, nobody can discuss Langata because they don't have the facts. You know, we're just simply going to clamp down on the space for the public. You know, speculation is part of what the public does. You know, they will go into their bars, they will go into their
actually a story. It starts with speculation.
Yes, and they will talk about these things, and we should encourage them to speak about these things. You know, I actually think that in the cases of the bloggers who've been charged, prosecuted, I think the MP should be more concerned about the laws that are being utilized. You know, and why it is that we still have in this year, every 50 years after independence, 51 years, we still have laws in the books that were passed to deal with Mau Mau, to stop the freedom fighters, and are now being used, you know, to clamp down on dissent. You know, so these are issues I would be thinking that as an MP should probably be saying, let's go look at the penal code, you know, and look, instead of these amendments in the security law that were targeting press, let's actually look at the amendments we need. You know, go through the penal code from the beginning to the end and align it to the Constitution, because there's lots of really bad laws there, you know, that still exist and are now, as we can see, being used essentially to stop people criticizing government. You know, and I would have thought that should be your...
I'll say this from
the
one
quick one on the laws especially, because those have been of concern.
The penal code, even the Companies Act, our own Civil Procedure Act, some of these things were done way back in 1948, right? And like he says rightfully, some were done to muscle people's thoughts then, not to rise against the government of the day then. But as we've done today, I'll tell you, there's a lot of legislation work going on so that we align these pieces of legislation to the Constitution. Talk about insolvency laws, Companies Act, all that is now pending in Parliament, and we're just waiting for Parliament to resume session, and then we start debating them. They've already been published. Okay. They're just awaiting debate. And God willing, they'll see the light of day. They'll be passed.
So we will be seeing anything on the penal code itself?
Yes, it's part of it.
All right, we'll wait to see. Let's go to some of
we will cover it.
By all means. And parliamentary proceedings are open. The committee's proceedings are open unless, for whatever reason, they're done in camera.
We've heard what the viewers had to say there. Anthony's remarks on the coverage, he did not think the media was objective, that perhaps only one side of the story was told, an important one, of course, with what happened to the kids. But he was asking questions about the conduct of some of the activists, that perhaps it bordered on warranting the kind of reaction to one extent, he seemed to suggest. And also we saw there's a policeman that was injured, so that maybe the coverage was only one-sided. Did you get that sense, Clay?
Before I get into that, let me just make some clarification here. Not that I don't like all bloggers, some bloggers. I don't like some bloggers very much. Clay. Having said that, I think blaming the media for the coverage at Langata.
Not blaming, just saying they were not objective.
No, I think we tried our best, we did our best, and actually this idea of people blaming activists also, I find it totally wrong, because first of all, as Mheshimiwa pointed out another time, is that we have very short memories. This is not the first time that actually pupils are protesting with placards. I saw very many people thinking with their fingers, and most of the people who've been thinking with their fingers, by that I mean people who've been going on social media and all that, they don't have children. So actually, they do not understand one thing, that these children were not being used. Children are not idiots. They are actually small people. They have minds of their own. You do not, they're not on social media, first of all, so there is no way actually that these activists, the so-called activists who are being blamed, reached out to them to come.
Away from the
just a minute, apart from that. Then, these kids were brought to the school by their parents. It's not just the activists who are there. So I think it's wrong to blame activists. And children have been protesting the world over. First of all, the Day of the African Child is actually celebrated to commemorate kids who were protesting, I think in 1976 in Soweto. And they were protesting, and Kenya as a country actually supported that protest. You see, so this idea of saying like, oh, children were being used and all that, it's a total lie.
And I don't think his line of question was on the using of the students. It was on the conduct of the activists in and of themselves during the protest.
No. That is what I'm saying. That is where I'm disagreeing with. I don't think that the activists did anything wrong. Let me put it that way. And I think the media covered as much as it could, because first of all, it was a duty. The parental authority here, it's like blaming a driver for a bad road. I mean, where is the...
No, may I just jump in here? I agree with Clay to an extent, you know, but look at the coverage itself. You know, I don't think the issues were articulated very much from the point of view of the kids. You know, yesterday I watched on KTN after the 9 o'clock, during the 9 o'clock news broadcast, a letter penned by a pupil. You know,
letter
obviously,
to the teacher.
you know, and I was thinking, this school children have been on camera. I mean, we have social media clips of them being interviewed at this place. We don't need to be thinking or coming up with our own interpretation of what we thought they said. Go ask them.
That's why I'm saying, like, children are just small people.
Yeah,
I mean,
in that sense, I think there has not been much articulation from the kids' point of view. But I agree with you. The kids do have their own agency. The idea that youths are only incited, you know, they can't think for themselves, they don't have their own politics. I mean, it's totally wrong.
I'll say this: two wrongs never make a right. On Sunday, I saw some article, maybe by someone prominent, who said that we shall attend to that school on Monday. We shall go and have the student, we play with them in the field, and then go demolish
the wall.
All right? So one, media has a right to report what is happening, and that is what they did. I mean, they were giving us live streams of what was happening on the ground. But number two, when the activists again come to use the children, assuming the wall fell on a child, because as you're pushing the wall,
yeah, that one I agree.
The blitz can split and can go either way. It's not.
And that's actually what the president said.
All right, it may not just fall on the other side you're pushing it. It can hit these children. He said the children were taken to school by their parents. So even the parents maybe were on their own to let their children go to partake, to take part
So
in that strike.
Who was
The
right
children
here?
should have maybe been in class.
All
right,
again,
the activists should have gone to
Was it
demonstrate.
their playtime? Was it
yeah,
a break
it
time?
doesn't even
I don't think it was a playtime. I don't think it was playtime. You know, that is your opinion. My opinion is this: school land was grabbed.
Yeah.
All right, that is never light. People were free to go and demonstrate to have the school land repossessed. But again, using these children,
No, why the
they
children
may not
free
have
to
known. They may
demonstrate?
not. Let them demonstrate on the road.
The
If they
question
want to-
here
and here's
is
the other
that
question.
their
Actually,
safety was
it's
perhaps
good you mentioned the road. You know, if kids are coming out to demonstrate, even activists, assuming they're not even kids,
You know, there's a freedom.
there has
There's a
to
freedom.
be, and what's the role of the police there? Is it just to protect this, which is admittedly a legal structure, or to look out for the welfare of the people demonstrating?
I began by saying,
You know, when you're pushing guys out onto the road, onto incoming traffic, I've got to ask.
I began by saying two wrongs never make a right.
All right,
Everybody has a
gentlemen,
freedom to
express
demonstrate.
and demonstrate and
The
express
police should
their-
have even stopped the vehicles and
Yeah, I
given
think so,
people
yeah.
time
All
to
right, we
demonstrate
have
on the
5
road.
minutes to
Yeah.
go before we wrap up. Two more stories I want us to quickly look at. You're in the Education Committee. Form and selection happened yesterday. There's been a lot of concern in as far as the conduct of this particular exercise is concerned. But first, I'll start with you, Clay, on the coverage of this, because yes, I've read and we have covered the other voices of concern that have expressed issue with the manner in which the exercise has been conducted, saying that there needs to be supervision. Yes, the selection exercise. There needs to be supervision to look into what exactly is happening. It's happening in the dark, some have alleged. The CS coming out to say, no, everything is happening as it should. There is no law requiring that it be supervised. In terms of the issues around that particular exercise, Form 1 selection, have we articulated them well as the media?
Again, okay, fine. I'll actually say, like, I'll actually again say that the media does enough. I think sometimes we blame the media for no reason. There are times like
No one has blamed, but
just a minute. There are times when we expect too much from the media, and actually, the media most of the time we over-deliver. You know.
Okay.
Most of the time the media over-delivers. You know.
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Okay. So like on this one, we have over-delivered.
I think we've done a wonderful job. Yeah. I know. Yes, there are very many questions because, of course, I mean, you're dealing with, let me say, 40 million people. Though I mean, some of them don't read. You're dealing, so definitely, many questions are likely to arise. It's quite difficult to actually sit in a room with 100 people and satisfy all of them with your delivery of the news. Questions will always arise and all that. And actually, that's what we thrive on. I earn a living by asking questions, person, and I think that's what you do too. So, I mean, we ask different questions will always arise. Curious minds. So, we do our best.
We
and
overdeliver.
we over-deliver most
Let's
of the
hear
time.
from Heshima.
I think this, I mean, the coverage has been
I'll
good
call
enough.
again that over-expression of the delivery. One, I was reading somewhere when the results were announced that what the media does, and I'm just saying what I read. This year we have 400,000 students sitting for the exams, another 100 to miss from one places. That has been happening over the last 5 years. That is over delivery. About Form 1 selection, we do not have, I believe, enough space for Form 1 students.
Well, this is now speaking as a member of the education committee.
Of the education committee.
Yes.
And I'm
Thanks
certain.
for the clarity.
Yeah.
And the media has always come for meetings, always invite them to attend our sittings. We put those people to task. The Kaimenyi, the minister in charge, is PS. What are you doing for infrastructural development? Us as MPs, we are doing the best we can do with the money we get. As CDF, we build classrooms, we build schools. What on the minister's part? What are you doing? Because as a child, you've done your standard 8, you get the scores you score, but you cannot go to a school that you want, or you cannot even get a space to a school. You only get a day school. So we are saying government on its part is doing its best, but they need to do better than that.
So you're satisfied with the manner in which the exercise has been carried out?
I'm not satisfied. Like now, I'll show you my phone. If we were to look at it, there are so many queries. What is happening? My child and selected this school. They have over 400 marks. They are now going to a day school. They have been selected to join a county school. You know?
So there are issues.
There are issues.
Which you don't feel have been articulated.
They have not been articulated.
Quickly.
I think, again, looking at it from a historical context, there's been problems throughout about the capacity of our education system and even about how it's run. The 844 partly was supposed to address this dropout because we got very many guys, both at secondary, at the transition between primary and secondary, and from secondary to university, who drop out, who don't get places, and what happens to them, This, I think, has to be seen, as I've always said, within the context of the overall education policy we have. We say we don't have enough schools, yet the few we have flooded with students. We have, teacher ratios of what, 80 to 80 students to a teacher in some schools. This whole free primary education that we then made free secondary education, people are talking of free university education. We have come to think that education reform is equivalent to making it free. The fact is, we need to look at this comprehensively. We need to go back to the COECH report, which was done in 1998, and start articulating what the problems are.
So
simply saying that let's make it free. I mean, our standards have now tanked. I mean, they're so bad that poor guys are pulling their kids out of free public education, take them to private schools where they pay.
Yeah, but I think with Mheshimiwa as a member, before your term expires, I think you guys probably need to do something too. We will cover it when you do it.
Okay. Our time is up, but one more question. The redacted version of the evidence against President Uhuru Kenyatta was released by the International Criminal Court. A lot of that has been covered today in the Standard. On the front page, you have, at least on one hand, some of those claims against the president and the president's rebuttal. My question to you, Patrick, is a lot of the other pages is, of course, the prosecution side of the story. And this is owing to the fact that the court denied Uhuru's team to respond to these allegations. So they will not be doing that. They will not also be publishing what their defense is. So should the media in this time, because you have about 7 pages detailing all allegations against Uhuru. So should the media be knocking then at the door of the defense team to get that other side of the story, or just because the court has refused for the same to happen, should forget it and just print or tell the story of the prosecution? Well,
first thing is we've got to keep in mind that these are allegations that are being made by the prosecution. They have not been passed or proven in a court of law. That said, I think there is value in people knowing what it is the president was accused of. And I think throughout the course of the whole ICC process, there was, the media was remiss in not articulating exactly what the charges were. and what the issues were. For example, the death of witnesses that's being alleged here throughout. It's something that has been in the public domain for a while, but not really articulated. I think we should be putting pressure on people like the police, etc., to find out. I mean, these are Kenyan citizens. You know, if they've disappeared, have they disappeared? You know, let's find them. On the issue of whether you should get the defense side of the story, of course, definitely, they should. You know, I think it's not just, I mean, they won't just talk in court. I mean, right now the case is suspended, you know, so they can easily, you know, go up to the defense lawyers, to Kenyatta's lawyers, etc., and find out, you know, okay, there were these allegations, what was your defense, and publish that. I think we should get both sides of the story. My big issue during the trial is we only seem to get one side.
One side, okay.
The cardinal principle of natural justice is that never condemn a man unheard. Now the court has said, Bensouda, you can produce, publish what you had against the president, but the present team was late in seeking leave to have their side of the story reproduced. Now, you can ask yourself, fine, we are getting to know what Bensouda was to say about Kenyatta. The suit, the case as of now has been terminated. And it had a rider. Even when you get better evidence against the president, bring it forth. Now, aren't they jeopardizing their own case? Now that it's already in the public domain. People might feel afraid to come forward later. So it means like this matter is dead as a dodo. But
also, as Hassan Omar, Senator Mombasa County, argued the other day, it could work for them because this is what they had, which was not sufficient. Somebody could read it and be the person, feel that they are able to, you know, clarify or join some of those loopholes. So, in essence, bring what is the missing part to the puzzle and rebuild the case.
And that is where I was. Internationally, you are edge, and I'm given the chance to rebut what you have said. So the defense team, because these are international standards, start plenty knowing that once Bensouda gets information out, they'll get a bite on the cake, on the cherry. Now the court says, no. Because you are late in submitting your application to put forward your defense, so you'll never get it.
Do you think the media should pursue the other side of the story?
They should pursue, like now, they should pursue.
Okay.
Yeah, without fear of ever. We have a right to know what Kenyatta was to say.
All right, clear your thoughts.
Again, I want to maintain here that most of the time,
cricket.
the ICC, the ICC I know is International Cricket Council, and the ICC Cricket World Cup is starting in around 2 weeks' time. Having said that, I think you're saying that it had a rider that if you get more information, more evidence, you can come back to us. But I think what Bensouda said when she was terminating the case is that she will not restart this case again. I think I saw something like that.
No.
Yes, I think I saw something like that.
No, she said you can come forward.
I mean, one of the reasons why it wasn't...
I was in court when she was making application for an adjournment until 2017. She was thinking, as of now, we do not have...
She wanted an indefinite adjournment. You know.
We do not have enough evidence as well.
Clear to the question whether the media should be pursuing the other side before we finish.
I have no opinion.
Okay.
About the cricket.
We'll end it there.
I have no opinion on that.
No opinion.
I will stick to ICC. But I have just one thing I need to point out before. My only grouse with probably because I'm as a safety freak. Yes, it was wrong for the kids to push down the wall. It could fall on them. But having said that, it was also wrong. It is actually wrong at all levels to use tear gas in a school compound.
Okay.
Yes, that was the safety for the pupils was actually trampled upon.
All right, and that's where we'll end it. Clay Muganda, features editor, Sunday Standard. We also had with us today Muriuki Njagagwa, who's Mbeere North Member of Parliament, and Patrick Gadara, who's a communications consultant. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And that is the newsroom this morning. You got to hear from our guests, their thoughts on how we've been covering that. I'm also seeing quite a lot of your feedback on social media, on SMSs, and Michael Getonga has some of that for us. Michael.
Yes, thank you very much, Sophia, and the great panel that you have there. We're looking at very pertinent and very major issues in the country. And just to go straight to the responses that have been coming through, Patricia from Migori says it was right for the pupils of Langata Road to protest on their playground. Otherwise, things would have remained a status quo. In short, the land would still be grabbed. There's a lot of response regarding Langata. There's also somebody here who says, does protesting involve bringing down dangerous walls and throwing stones at police? Next time, they should take their kids and leave their own people at home, leave their own children at home. Somebody here saying, Muganda, you're wrong. Children got placards from activists inside the classroom. Let me see if we have more on something else. Kimunya regulation made few years ago do not apply to the law retrospectively to destroy 1975 letter of allotment to Langata School. Well, quite number of responses coming through, and Sophia, this is definitely one debate that did not have enough time.
There's an interesting one here. Imali is saying media overindulges, seduces the thought of gagging, thin line between diplomacy and murdering the truth. There's another one saying that there are few Kenyan readers and leaders. Education reforms require attention. That's on what we're talking about on Form 1 selection. There's another one who's saying great discussion on the newsroom. Thank you. Please invite the MP more often. They thought that he was objective and non-partisan. Well, okay. For one to claim that the media in Kenya over-delivers is an insult to the Kenyan people. So Clay had said we over-deliver. Someone thinks it's an insult. I agree with the fact that the media over-delivers. So there's another one who agrees that the media over-delivers. Many Kenyans don't read much. There's another comment from Jawiwi. Mind trying to inquire and speculate the identity of this private developer. Kenyans will reward you. So Kenyans, they're saying the media needs to be more investigative, probe further and deeper on this question of who actually owns that piece of land. Absolutely.
Well, and that's where we're going to wrap the newsroom right here. But just to give you a quick traffic update, Langata Road is still chock-a-block. It's still bumper to bumper.
This Langata Road. Do you live on Langata Road, Michael?
I'm just reading what I have here. That's what, and I don't live on Langata Road, by the way.
Okay.
Thika Road is also busy, but it's moving. Somebody says Kiambu Road, he has been stuck there for about 45 minutes without moving at all. So Kiambu Road also seems to be quite busy. And yeah, if you're getting out there, please just be careful as you drive. But it looks like traffic is on an all-time high. I don't know if it's raining outside right now, but rain seems to have an effect on traffic.
Yeah, there's no rain now.
Director says
there's no rain. But I love that there was rain yesterday. It's been crazy, insanely hot the past couple of days. I mean, it felt like we're being slaughtered.
Yeah, and the fact that, of course, because of the rain, you slept from 6 o'clock.
Yes, I slept so well. Anyway,
How did you
stay with
sleep
us.
from 6 o'clock till morning?
Let's not. Stay with us, because when we return, Michael, what will you have on Lifestyle?
We have Lifestyle, and today we'll be talking about an abuse that does not leave a physical or a visible scar on you. However, it affects you every single day of your life. We'll be talking about emotional abuse, and don't you go away, because I'm sure that's something that you'd want to hear from, and maybe you might even be going through emotional abuse and you're not aware.
Exactly. For many people, actually, that's the thing. It happens. We don't even know it's emotional abuse. So Stay tuned for that discussion to understand what it is all about. They can also call in and ask questions to our guests this morning.
Or contribute and let us know. Maybe you're going through emotional abuse. We'll have a panel of experts who can also help you out on how to...
And someone who will be sharing their story.
Yes, somebody who will also be sharing their story.
Yeah. So don't go away. We're back shortly.